Television. Ours it is.
Good morning and welcome to the show Sports Spring on Western Spring Television, where we give you stories making headlines in the ever-busy world of sports. What a weekend we had as far as sports is concerned. Controversies here and there, and most especially at the St. James Park, what happened between Newcastle and Arsenal. But then the review has been called by the FA, and a decision will be taken this evening on what will happen to the referees and if that was truly a goal. On the local scene, we'll be talking about the Nigeria Premier Football League. Matches were played. Doma United impressed yesterday with a 4-0 victory over their opponents. And of course, we'll talk about Max Verstappen, who defeated Lando Norris and 18 other drivers to clinch the Sao Paulo Grand Prix in that one. My name is Joseph ATEWEH, once again saying welcome. I'll be sailing the ship alone this morning as my colleague and partner, Nengi Ernest, is unavailable. But not to worry, we're traveling to Port Harcourt this morning. We'll be speaking to Testimony Age to give us some analysis on the Nigeria Premier Football League. Match Day 7 has been adjudged to be the best so far in this new season. Lots of goals were scored yesterday, as I said earlier, and most especially with Doma United winning away from home 4-0. So while we try to connect to Port Harcourt to get Testimony Age, let's look at some results from the Nigeria Premier Football League here and how the table stands. We know that Sporting Lagos and Kano Pillars, well, that game will be played today 4 p.m. as it was rescheduled alongside the game between Bayelsa United and Lobby Stars. Now, Rivers United and Sunshine Stars played out a 1-1 draw. Shooting Stars of Ibadan trashed Niger Tornadoes as expected. 4-1 it ended. The game between Remo Stars and Gobe United was also postponed in that one. Bendel Insurance doing the needful against Remo Stars. 1-0 it ended. So trying to get more results from the Nigeria Premier Football League, even as we try to connect to Testimony Age, will be joining us from Port Harcourt this morning. And of course, Doma United were the biggest winners, as I said. Let's travel to Port Harcourt this morning. Testimony Age joins me live from Port Harcourt. He is a sports analyst and a presenter. Good morning, Testimony.
Very fine morning to you, Joseph.
Good morning. And how is Port Harcourt this morning?
Interesting to be on the show.
Thank you. And how is Port Harcourt?
Port Harcourt is quite fine. Mixed weather, not too sunny, not too gloomy as compared to the weather, but everything is fine.
But I know you find a lot of yellow fishes in Port Harcourt. How are they?
I think my focus is misfiring, but everything is good. I'll try to get in the water myself.
But then just stick with the yellowfish, Testimony. Let's move straight to business. Testimony, let's talk about the Nigeria Premier Football League. And as I said earlier, Doma United, did you see that coming?
Man, that was a fantastic performance there in the Joe Derby over Gombe United. Gombe United are one of the big boys this season. They are time players. They've won the likes of Rivers United and gone on to do some very important results. But new boys Doma United actually shot them in their own backyard. 2 big assists by the goalkeeper. And Kingdom was very impressive, and we saw how the run riots in the second half against a fully packed Pampanga Stadium out there in Gombe State. And it's interesting to see that, irrespective of the size of the crowd, the new boys in the league weren't shaken. They actually put out a performance that would actually make statements in the league for a very long time. Most notably, that this is the only second away win in the Nigerian Premier Football League this season. The first was for Remo Stars against Bayelsa United when they traveled to Bayelsa. So it's a good win for them, good win for their confidence. And last year, we saw that they almost qualified for the Super Six, but because of just very different situations, they still actually put up in the last games to actually qualify for the Super Six. But I think it's an important win for them, and it's something they will have to build on to in the next games in the Nigerian Premier Football League.
Testimony, we can say that the season is still early. We witnessed Match Day 7 over the weekend. But what would you say about the newbies? Like Remo Stars, for example, see where they are on the table. We spoke about Doma United. Is it that is it evident that if you pump in money into these clubs, they would perform? Of course, you know how beautiful the stadium is in Ikenne, the quality of stars they brought into the club before the season kick-started. Is that an evidence rather that you pump in money into these clubs, they would perform?
Yeah, this is something we've been clamoring for a very long time, and we've seen the evidence now in the Nigerian Premier Football League. Private investors are getting clubs in the league. Sporting Lagos, for instance, Remo Stars getting good shirt sponsors, the Bet Nigeria, and all that. I think all of these, when translated into development of football in Nigeria, I think it will go a long way. The Nigerian Premier Football League, the promotion on media is crazy nowadays. A lot of people are so interested in it that clubs will not want to falter in the kind of quality and the kind of inputs they put into the side. For instance, Remo Stars, new boys, 4 years in the league, and they've achieved so much in the league. Go to Sporting Lagos, early days, but I think they're in the right direction. A lot of things, we know that many private clubs are saying, for instance, FC Ifeanyi, they couldn't live up to the bidding because of wrong planning and wrong ownership and how they actually did this at the end of the day. They actually went and punched above their means, getting players outside the shoulder of Nigeria without actually settling what is before them. I think if clubs avoid this kind of mistakes, the Nigerian Premier Football League will be the biggest thing in Africa. If you see what happens in South Africa, see what happens in Al Ahly, in the different places, you understand how very important this thing is for these different clubs. Joseph.
All right, testimony. Let me just run through some of the results so we can look at the surprise of the day. We talked about Doma United. Abia Warriors also defeated Katsina United 2-1. Sunshine Stars and Rivers United. That drew my attention. I expected Rivers United to get the maximum 3 points.
Yeah, they were lucky to even get back into the game because of how the situation was. They equalized death into the game. And that is like a wake-up call for the whole thing because this makes it one win in the last 5 games. And it is really worrying signs for the pride of Rivers because if you look at how the league is being shaped up, a lot of things are picking up momentum. For instance, Remo Stars put themselves in Ibadan, paying back to some extent, and the Enugu Rangers, who are top of the league at this point in time, not getting 3 points in your own backyard seems disastrous because if you go away from home, you're playing against a lot of factors. You're playing against players who are rested enough, and you're playing against a mammoth crowd. And I think if you can get 3 points in your own backyard, it proves difficult for you to actually meet up to the rest of the pack.
And we also believe, testimony, that this might, at the end of the day, rub off on Rivers United because with the way the other guys are playing, if they're not careful, it might be difficult making it to the Super 6 or even making it to the continent, I should say.
I think they have the experience to do that. We saw last day how they missed the league by just not winning that game against ATEWEH. And I think a lot of changes did happen in the club. A lot of players left the club. And they are still finding ways to replace those players. Even the ones that brought in new, they brought in Deputy Echeta from Bender Insurance. You have Alex Oyowa, who is the highest goal scorer for the club at this point in time. He's playing fantastically well. You have Andy Obi, the brought in from Remo Stars. These players are, for the long run, they are trying to find their feet in the new club they are in. And it just takes a matter of time, a matter of moment for them to get past the fact that they've actually lost very important players in the squad, and replacing them, I've proved to be fullback. But then they are trying so much to do that. But if you look at how the league is being shaped up, a lot of new players, a lot of controversy, a lot of new teams. I think if they take into account how disastrous the first 7 games have been in the season, I think they will actually buckle up and try to get teams running in the next game. If you can remember, they are the only team in the continent, and they wanted more to actually make that permanent for the next couple of months because of the incentives that will come. Because when they begin to play in the continent, like we saw last season when they were knocked out by the young boys of Tanzania, and they came back into the league, their focus changed, and they actually qualified for the Super 6. But then, they're not playing too many games in the continent for this point in time, maybe until the group stage starts properly. But it is quite important that they actually start picking up 3 points, especially when they are playing at home.
All right, testimony. Just a quick reminder once again, Doma United defeated Gombe United 3-0. Abia Warriors 2, Katsina United 1. Shooting Stars trashed Niger Tornadoes 4-1. And testimony, before we move to another story, let's look at the games for this evening. 4 p.m. they will start. Bayelsa United versus Lobby Stars. Kano Pillars will be away in Lagos to take on Sporting Lagos. In 2 minutes, what are your thoughts?
Okay, let me start with the Sporting Lagos game because that game was shifted due to the fact that they have a concert at the Mobolaji Michael Stadium out there in Onikon, Lagos State. And it is something that many people have actually criticized because of how these are homes to clubs and shouldn't be used for secondary purposes. Away from that, Kano Pillars are a side that have been in the league for a very long time. They are just coming back after 2-3 years of relegation. We saw that they've actually won important games. Rabiu Ali, the legend of the side, scoring 2 goals in their last 2 games, which is very important and okay for the confidence of the side. But on the other hand, if you look at this Sporting Lagos side, they are quite young and energetic, and they've actually recruited some of the best legs in the league. Currently, they have a firing forward, Jonathan Maluku, who has scored in his last few games for Sporting Lagos. Can they be able to pull out a chalk in their own backyard against a sturdy Kano Pillars? It's a question we'll have to get the answers by 4 p.m. later today. Right?
Definitely.
Even game. Kano Pillars traveling all the way from Kano down to Lagos, and Sporting Lagos have rested enough for them to host the boys from Kano Pillars. So I think it's an open game, and it is something that if Paul Ofo can throw his cards away, he can actually defeat Kano Pillars by a great margin.
Our testimony, that's it, okay?
For the Bayelsa United game, I think Bayelsa United are not really firing. And Lobby Stars, on the other hand, are a team with great form this season. And it is something that they can just do and pass Bayelsa United if the game 2 comes around.
All right, thank you, testimony. Okay, let's move to the continent and talk about Wydad Casablanca. Of course, you know what is happening on the continent. They got the first leg over Sundowns. As expected, the football they play in Egypt, the northern part of Africa, is very expensive. So going into that fixture, we all knew that Wydad Casablanca were going to get the first leg.
Yes, it is something that happens in African football, especially when they are playing in front of Wydad Casablanca, a very fantastic side. We've seen their run in the African Football League so far. They defeated Aimba by 4-0 on aggregate. Moved on to Al Ahly, which was not Al Ahly now, the other side. I'm trying to get experience the Tunis, which was a very difficult game for them. But then let's talk about the Mamelodi Sundowns and how they are able to get 1 goal away from home, which I think is very important in the next game this coming weekend. The coach of the side, Rolani Moplena, has actually stated that he's not taking anything away from the win from Wydad Casablanca, but he's happy his team has actually gotten a goal and he's happy with the performance of the team. If you see that goal, the crowd at Morocco Casablanca was massive, and no team will want to perform below expectations in that kind of time. But I think the game is still open since they've gotten a goal back. I think they just have to push 2 past Wydad Casablanca and try to get something out of the land. Already Sundowns are a side that have over the years proven to actually play a different kind of football, and it will only prove very good for them if they can lock shop when they host Wydad Casablanca next weekend and actually get over the line for that one, because the prize money for the inaugural edition of this African Football League is really huge, and it will go a long way in football development in Mamelodi. All
right, so the coach of Mamelodi Sundowns has promised the fans, and he said they're going to get the second leg, and of course disappoint football fans who believe that Wydad Casablanca are the better team. But wait and see, just as he stated, till next weekend. And away from that testimony, something happened over the weekend. Efe Ajagba knocked out heavyweight rival, that's Joe Godel, in the 4th round. And not shockwaves now. A lot was said on social media prior to that fight that Efe was going to find it difficult against Joe. But then surprisingly, Efe made it count and did it with ease.
Well, I saw it outside, It's quite an interesting fight because ATEWEH is not named to be a kind of boxer that wants to knock you out. He doesn't want to fight until the 12th round. And it is something he has taken to this fight against Kudal. Kudal is someone who has actually cemented his place as one of the best fighters around that division. But if ATEWEH inflicts his first defeat on him, is very, very important for that one.
And of course, just as you stated, his first defeat on Joe Godder. But then, what does this mean for ATEWEH Jagba? Because, I mean, he's eyeing a bigger challenge now.
Can you say that again?
What does this mean for ATEWEH? Because, I mean, for him, he wants to be at the highest level. He wants to compete with the Tyson Furies and the Joshuas. And he says this is a